Before I tell you what they found beneath that abandoned vineyard, I need to warn you. This story isn't easy to hear. Because for 14 years, no one, not even her parents, had any idea that she had been so close, buried beneath their feet. And yet, the signs were always there. If you're new to this channel, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It helps us tell stories like this one, stories that deserve to be remembered. Turn on the notification bell, so you never miss a story that reveals how truth can hide for years, right in plain sight. Claire Jensen was the kind of high school student everyone admired. 17 years old, smart, a little shy, but always kind. She volunteered at the local library, loved sketching portraits of strangers, and had a dream of studying architecture in Boston. On the morning of October 3, 1998, she told her mother she'd be late that night. She was meeting her best friend after school to help with a history project. But Claire never came home. That night, her parents, Margaret and Paul Jensen, began calling everyone they could think of. Her friends, teachers, even the gas station near the school, but nobody had seen her since she walked out of Ridgefield High School at 3:18 p.m. Her red bicycle was later found near County Route 19, just by the edge of an old vineyard, Hollow Creek Estate, which had closed 5 years prior. Police believed she might have taken a shortcut through the fields. But that shortcut led to nowhere. For the first 72 hours, Ridgefield was alive with panic. Hundreds of volunteers joined the police, scouring every dirt path, creek, and old barn in a 10-mile radius. Helicopters circled above, dogs followed faint scents, and flyers with Claire's smile began appearing on telephone poles across the county. Her mother, Margaret, refused to sleep. Her father, Paul, sat on the porch every night, staring at the road, hoping the next pair of headlights would be hers. But after 5 days, everything fell silent. Detective Roy Mendel, who led the case, had been with the department for 20 years. He told reporters it was one of the strangest disappearances he'd ever seen. No signs of struggle. No body. No witnesses. It's as if she just dissolved into air. They had one potential clue, a local delivery driver named Lance Miller, who admitted seeing a girl matching Claire's description near the abandoned Hollow Creek vineyard that afternoon. When police searched the vineyard, they found nothing. No footprints, no tire tracks, not even a piece of fabric. Just dust, dry vines, and silence. As months passed with no arrest, the town began to turn on itself. Some said Claire had run away. Others whispered that someone from her own school had something to do with it. Rumors swirled around a senior named Ethan Rowe, the last person known to have spoken with her that day. They'd been paired together for a project, but Ethan denied knowing anything. She said she'd walk home, he told police. That's all. His alibi checked out, but gossip didn't care. Ethan's family later moved away, after their house was vandalized 3 times. By the summer of 1999, the case was officially cold. Detective Mendel transferred out of Ridgefield 2 years later. Claire's parents never moved, not because they couldn't, but because they refused to. Her room stayed exactly as it was, sketchbooks stacked on the desk, a jacket folded at the foot of her bed, and a half-written college application on the floor. Every year, on the anniversary of her disappearance, Margaret baked her favorite vanilla cake and left a slice by the window. "So she can find her way home," she once told a local reporter. No one had the heart to tell her that Claire might never come home at all. Between 2000 and 2011, Ridgefield changed. New people moved in, new businesses opened. The vineyard, Hollow Creek Estate, was bought by a real estate investor, but plans to renovate it fell through. The property was sealed off behind rusted gates and forgotten. Until one summer afternoon, 14 years later, when a new couple bought the estate. They thought it would make a perfect bed and breakfast. They had no idea what waited beneath their feet. It was June 12, 2012, when Caleb and Nora Whitman officially bought the long-abandoned Hollow Creek estate. They were newlyweds, both history enthusiasts who wanted to turn the decaying vineyard into a charming countryside inn. To them, it wasn't a haunted property. It was an opportunity. During the first few weeks, everything seemed promising. The old vines still grew in twisted patterns, the air smelled of earth and forgotten wine, and deep inside the property stood a two-story stone house built in 1926. But the Whitmans didn't know that under that house, behind a panel of rotted floorboards, lay a secret sealed for 14 years. One afternoon, Caleb was inspecting the basement with a contractor. They noticed a hollow echo under one section of the floor. "That's strange," Caleb said. "Like there's another room down there." The contractor assumed it was an old storage pit, common in pre-war estates. He began prying at the boards, expecting to find soil. Instead, the crowbar struck concrete. When they cleared away the debris, they uncovered a narrow metal hatch, rusted and sealed with an iron latch. The hinges were fused by time, as if someone had forced them shut from the outside. It took nearly 20 minutes to break it open. A stale, heavy odor rose from the dark. The air felt colder than it should. A single light bulb hung from the ceiling below, still connected to a long-dead wire. They called Nora down to look. And then, as Caleb's flashlight flicked across the underground space, he froze. At first, they thought it was just debris, old barrels, wooden crates, shattered bottles. But in the corner of the small underground chamber lay something unmistakably human. A set of skeletal remains, partially covered by a torn blanket. Next to it, a rusted silver locket, its chain broken but still holding a photograph of a smiling teenage girl. The name etched faintly on the back read, "Claire Jensen, 1998. Nora dropped the flashlight. Caleb staggered back, his voice trembling. "Call the police. Now." By sunset, Hollow Creek was swarming with law enforcement, reporters, and forensic teams. The case of Claire Jensen, long buried in the archives, was suddenly alive again. Detective Elaine Cortez, from the county's cold case unit, took lead. She had grown up in Ridgefield and remembered seeing Claire's face on missing posters as a child. "I never thought I'd see her name again," she whispered. The cellar was sealed and treated as a crime scene. Forensic specialists examined every inch, the flooring, the barrels, the concrete walls. They discovered faint scratch marks along the inside of the metal hatch, as though someone had tried to claw their way out. And on the opposite wall, written faintly in chalk, they found 5 words. "Please tell Mom I tried." DNA confirmed what everyone already suspected. The remains belonged to Claire Jensen. But the real question was how she ended up there, and who had locked that cellar. The autopsy revealed no broken bones, no signs of blunt trauma. But there was something strange. High traces of carbon monoxide were found in the bones and tissue residue. That suggested one thing: Claire had suffocated slowly, likely trapped when the cellar filled with exhaust fumes from above. Yet there were no vehicles nearby. Detective Cortez theorized that the hatch might have been accidentally sealed during an old renovation in the late 1990s, but something about it didn't fit. Why would there be scratch marks? Why the message on the wall? And why was the locket placed so carefully, as if someone had wanted her to be found someday? The Jensen family, now elderly, were brought to the site. Margaret Jensen couldn't stand. She knelt by the police tape, her hands trembling. "I told you," she whispered. "I told everyone she never left this place." Her husband, Paul, stood silently beside her, tears sliding down his face. 14 years of waiting had ended, but not the way they'd hoped. Reporters covered the discovery nationwide. Wine Cellar Mystery Solved After 14 Years appeared in headlines. But to the townspeople, the discovery raised more questions than it answered. Who sealed the hatch? How did she get in there? And why did no one ever hear her screams? After the discovery, investigators began revisiting every name mentioned in the original 1998 case file. Most had long since left Ridgefield, but one name came up again and again: Ethan Rowe, Claire's classmate and project partner. Now in his 30s, Ethan was living 2 states away, working as a mechanic. When detectives arrived at his shop, his hands froze mid-wrench. He didn't resist the questioning, but something in his eyes changed the moment they mentioned Hollow Creek Estate. In 1998, Ethan's uncle, Richard Rowe, was the caretaker of the old vineyard before it closed. The property was still in their family at the time of Claire's disappearance. During questioning, Ethan admitted something he had never told anyone. Claire and we went there that day, after school. I wanted to show her the old cellar my uncle used to talk about. She was working on this history project, old architecture, hidden rooms. I thought it'd help. His hands trembled as he continued. We found the hatch. It was half open. We climbed down, but the door, it slammed shut. I tried to pull it open, but the lock jammed. He swallowed hard. I told her I'd get help. I ran back to my car. It was raining. I slipped, hit my head. I don't even remember how I got home. When I woke up the next morning, I thought she must have gotten out. But Claire hadn't. When police searched the vineyard after her disappearance, they never discovered the cellar. It was completely hidden beneath collapsed beams and floorboards. Ethan's uncle, Richard, had sealed the hatch days later when he began clearing the basement for sale, believing it was just a dangerous, empty pit. He'd unknowingly entombed her alive. When Ethan broke down and confessed what happened, Detective Cortez listened in silence. Legally, it wasn't murder. There was no intent, no violence, just a tragic chain of events and years of silence that followed. But emotionally, it was something far darker, the weight of guilt that had eaten him alive for 14 years. I kept dreaming about her, Ethan said quietly. Every night. I'd see her standing in that cellar, waiting. He showed the detective a drawing he'd kept, a pencil sketch of Claire, drawn from memory, wearing the same smile from the missing posters. He said he'd drawn it every year on the anniversary of her disappearance. Claire's funeral was held 3 weeks later at St. Mary's Chapel, the same church where her high school graduation would have been held in 1999. Hundreds attended, classmates, teachers, townspeople who had once stopped looking for her. As the casket was lowered into the ground, Margaret Jensen placed the silver locket, polished and whole again, inside. "You're home now," she whispered. "No more darkness." Paul Jensen finally sold the family home 2 years later and moved closer to his sister. The bakery that once displayed Claire's missing poster still keeps a small photo of her near the counter, with a note that reads, "Light doesn't fade, it waits to be found." Detective Cortez archived the case with a single final note. Accident confirmed. Emotional closure achieved. Case status resolved. But she couldn't stop thinking about the message on the cellar wall, "Please tell Mom I tried." For days, she replayed the timeline in her head, realizing that Claire must have survived down there for several hours, maybe even a day, before the air gave out. She had written that message in the dark, hoping someone, someday, would find it. A year after the discovery, the Whitmans finally reopened Hollow Creek Estate. They turned the cellar into a memorial chamber, lit with candles and photographs of missing persons still waiting to be found. A plaque at the entrance reads, "For Claire Jensen, who tried to find the light." even when the world forgot her. Every October, they host a small event where guests write messages to lost loved ones and leave them by the old hatch door. Some swear they feel a cold draft sweep through the room, like a sigh of relief. Maybe it's just the wind. Or maybe, after 14 long years, Claire finally found peace. Sometimes, the truth isn't buried by malice. It's buried by time, by mistakes, by the silence of those too scared to remember. Claire Jensen's story reminds us that even in the quietest corners of the world, pain echoes, waiting for someone brave enough to listen. If stories like this move you, please like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. It helps us keep telling stories that deserve to be heard, stories that remind us that the past never truly stays buried. And remember, every missing person is more than a headline. They're someone's child, someone's memory, and someone's unfinished story.